The observation deck of the celestial harmony hummed with the low murmur of 100 different species, each voice carrying its own frequency, its own weight of expectation. Ambassador Threll of the Vacrian Collective stood before the assembled council, his 6 eyes gleaming with righteous fury as he gestured toward the containment field in the center of the chamber. Inside the shimmering barrier, a small creature cowered. Kiko was barely the size of a human toddler, her obsidian fur rippling with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in time with her racing heartbeat. Her species, the Nixery, were apex predators from a death world 3 sectors away, creatures of instinct and savagery, according to the Galactic Accord's xenobiological reports. Her crystalline claws, each one sharp enough to pierce standard hull plating, retracted and extended nervously as she huddled in the corner of her prison. This creature, Threll hissed, his translator rendering his words into standard galactic, attacked a human child without provocation. The evidence is irrefutable. By the laws of the Accord, execution is not merely warranted. It is mandatory for such an act of violence against a member species. The council chamber erupted in chittering, whistling, and various other forms of assent. The Accord had stood for 12,000 cycles precisely because it did not tolerate violence between species. One strike, one death, and the fragile peace that held the galaxy together would shatter like glass. I could see the back of the chamber. Ira sat perfectly still. She was unremarkable by human standards. Average height. Brown hair pulled back in a practical braid. Clothes that marked her as a civilian contractor rather than military personnel. But her eyes, dark and focused, never left the small predator in the containment field. The medical wrap around her daughter's arm was still fresh, the claw marks beneath it still healing. The child, Mira Castellan, required 17 sutures, Threll continued, pulling up a holographic display of the injuries. 3 layers of dermal tissue were compromised. Had the strike been 2 centimeters to the left, it would have severed the radial artery. This was an attempted killing. Ira closed her eyes. She could still hear Myra's scream, could still see Kiko's panicked leap, the way those claws had extended on pure reflex when the cub lost her footing on the observation platform. It had happened in seconds. Mira reaching out to pet what she thought was a kitty, Kiko startled from sleep, the instinctive swipe, an accident. Nothing more. Ambassador Threll. A voice cut through the din. Ira stood, her words quiet but carrying the weight of someone who had nothing left to lose. I invoke the right of advocacy. The chamber fell silent. Even Threll's mandibles stopped clicking in surprise. You what? The Vacrian ambassador's translator struggled with his disbelief. The right of advocacy, Ira repeated, stepping forward. Article 7 of the Accord's founding charter. When a member of a signatory species faces capital judgment, any affected party may advocate on their behalf. I am the mother of the injured child. I advocate for Kiko. Threll's eyes narrowed. You would defend the creature that maimed your own offspring. Ira reached the barrier and knelt, bringing herself eye level with the terrified cub. Kiko's ears were flat against her skull, her tail wrapped tight around her body. Up close, Ira could see she was trembling. I would defend a child, Ira said softly. Because that's what she is. A child, a predator, a baby. Ira's voice hardened. She's 6 months old by Nixery standards. She hasn't even opened her second set of eyes yet. You're proposing to execute a toddler for a reflex action. The severity of intent is irrelevant, Threll argued. The Nixery are classified as Category 5 predators. Their instincts make them incompatible with civilized society. One incident now will become a massacre later. Ira stood, turning to face the council. Then every human in this station should be executed too. The statement rippled through the chamber like a shockwave. Humans, Ira continued, her voice steady, come from a death world. We evolved as endurance predators. We hunted megafauna to extinction. We waged wars that killed billions of our own kind. By your logic, Ambassador, we should never have been admitted to the Accord. That's different. How? Ira challenged. Because we learned to control our instincts. Because we chose civilization over savagery. She gestured to Kiko. You're denying her the same chance you gave us. A new voice entered the debate. Captain Velshera of the Harmony, her scaled face impassive but her tone thoughtful. The human makes a valid point. The Accord's purpose is not merely to punish violence. but to foster understanding between species. Execution serves only the former. Captain, with respect, Threll began. Let her finish her advocacy, Velshera interrupted. The right is ancient and absolute. We will hear her argument. Ira took a breath. This was it. The moment that would determine whether compassion or fear would govern the galaxy's response. 6 months ago, she said, the Nixery home world applied for Accord membership. You all voted to delay their application, citing concerns about their predatory nature. But you didn't reject them. You wanted proof that they could integrate, that they could coexist. She pointed to Kiko. She was that proof. The first Nixery cub born on a multi-species station. A test case. A test that failed, Threll muttered. A test that was sabotaged, Ira countered. Do you know why Kiko was sleeping on that observation platform? Because the environmental controls in the Nixery habitat zone malfunctioned. The temperature dropped 15 degrees below survivable levels. She sought warmth where she could find it, in a sunbeam, near the viewport. She's a baby who got scared when a stranger reached for her while she was sleeping. That's not malice. That's trauma. The council members shifted uncomfortably. The habitat malfunction had been reported but dismissed as a minor technical issue. My daughter will heal, Iris said quietly. The scars will fade. But if you execute Kiko, you'll be sending a message to every predator species in the galaxy. Your children are disposable. Your instincts are unforgivable. You will never be anything but monsters. She turned back to the containment field, pressing her hand against the barrier. Inside, Kiko's luminescent pattern slowed, shifting from panicked red to cautious yellow. Humans know what it's like to be judged by our worst moments, Iris said. We know what it's like to fight against our own nature every single day. And we know that redemption is possible, but only if someone is willing to offer it. She looked at Threll, then at each council member in turn. I'm offering it now, not because Kiko deserves it less than we did, but because she deserves it just as much. The silence stretched for an eternity. Finally, Captain Velshera spoke. I call for a vote. All in favor of commuting the execution sentence to supervised rehabilitation and integration training. One by one, lights on the council panel flickered to green. Not all of them. Threll's remained stubbornly red, but enough. More than enough. The containment field dropped. Kiko didn't move at first, too frightened to believe she was free. Then Ira knelt again, extending her hand slowly, palm up, the way one might approach any scared animal. It's okay, she whispered. You're safe now. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with trembling steps, Kiko crept forward. Her claws remained retracted as she pressed her small head against Ira's palm, a rumbling purr vibrating through her entire body. Ira smiled, tears streaming down her face. See, she said to the watching council. Not a monster, just a child who needed someone to believe in her. As the chamber began to empty, Threll approached Ira, his posture stiff. You have condemned us all, human. When she kills again, then I'll take responsibility, Ira said simply. But she won't, because I'm going to make sure she has what every child needs: guidance, patience, and a chance to be better than her instincts. She stroked Kiko's head gently. That's what humanity does best. We don't just survive. We help others survive too. Threll said nothing, but as he left, Ira thought she saw something in his eyes shift. Not agreement, perhaps, but the smallest seed of doubt in his certainty. Kiko purred louder, her bioluminescence shifting to a soft, peaceful blue, and Ira held her close, knowing that in this moment, mercy had proven stronger than fear. That was the human way.